Hello, this presentation is going to be about measurement and sig figs. As always, you may go ahead and take your own notes or use the notes that have been provided for you in Schoology. Let's get launched into it. All right, so when we talk about measurement in chemistry, we are going to be using units of measurement that have to be in the metric system, or SI, which means System International, which is just a fancy way for saying metric. Okay, so SI units for different quantities are up here. You'll see the unit, you'll see the abbreviation that goes along with them in terms of what those base units are. Different base unit is part of every quantity. All right. In the metric system, though, we can go ahead and we can convert base units into units that are appropriate for the item being measured by putting any of these prefixes in front of those base units. Okay? Ones that will be important for us in chemistry are kilo, deci, centi, milli, micro, nano. Those are the ones that are the most important for us in science or in chemistry. All right, so since we are measuring in the metric system, one of the things that's also important for us to pay attention to in chemistry is uncertainty in our measurements. When we go into the lab, any measurement we make is only as good as the tool that we're using to make it. So different measuring devices have different uses and different degrees of accuracy. All right, so if I'm measuring the volume of a liquid, for example, if I'm using a graduated cylinder, that's going to be not as accurate as using a well-calibrated burette. Likewise, other instruments that are calibrated to be very accurate are pipettes and volumetric flasks. When you would use one of these instruments in a lab setting would depend upon what the task is that you're looking at, and we'll get more into that as the year rolls on. But the idea here is that different measuring devices have different abilities to be different levels of accurate. So because of that, we have a term which we refer to as significant figures. Okay? Significant figures refers to the digits that are measured. When we round calculated numbers, we pay attention to significant figures so we don't overstate the accuracy of our answers. Right? Because if we're only measuring something down to the 10th of a milliliter, and when we do a calculation with it, our calculator returns numbers that are down out to the millionth place, we're going to return a calculated value that is way more accurate than what our actual measurements might allow us to do. So, because of that, there are agreed upon rules about how you deal with significant figures in measurements. Okay, so again, significant figures refers to values that are measured, not counted. So if we have 5 ducks, that's a counted value, not a measured value. All right, so this is measured with instruments. So here are the rules for significant figures. First of all non-zero digits are significant. Zeros between two significant figures are significant. Zeros at the beginning of a number are never significant, and zeros at the end of a number are significant if a decimal point is written in the number. Okay, so how many significant digits are in these values that are down here? We'll do one together and then we'll have you do some on the left side. So this very first one is 23,000. Okay, so it says all non-zero digits are significant. That makes that significant and that significant. They're not zeros. Zeros between two significant figures are themselves significant. Okay, these zeros are at the end. They're not between anything, so they don't fall under that rule. Zeros at the beginning of a number are never significant. Okay, there aren't any zeros at the beginning of the number, so that doesn't work there. And zeros at the end of a number are significant if a decimal point is written in the number. There is no decimal point in here, so we can conclude that these digits here are not significant, and this only has 2 significant digits. Okay. What I'd like you to do right now, go ahead and look at the remaining numbers here and figure out how many significant digits are in each of them. When you're done, come back, check your answers. All right, let's go through these. How many significant digits are in 4,000.00? Okay, so the 4 is significant. Okay, the zeros at the end of a number are significant if a decimal point is written in the number. There is a decimal point, so all of these zeros at the end are significant. Therefore, we have 6 significant digits here. Okay, the next one, how many significant digits are in this number? Okay, well, we've got 2 there and 1 non-zero there. So now let's talk about the zeros. Zeros at the beginning, not significant. Zeros between significant digits are significant. So that 0 is significant. And zeros at the end are significant if there's a decimal in the number. Yep, there is. So that one is good as well. So this one has 5 significant digits. How many significant digits are in 400? The 4 is significant. These zeros are at the end of the number and there is no decimal point, so they are not significant. There's only 1 significant digit there. Significant digits are in 7.2500. Non-zeros, so those 3, and then zeros at the end with a decimal point are also significant, so this is 5 significant digits. And last but not least, 0.00333, those 3 digits are significant. These zeros are at the beginning of a number, so those are not significant, so the answer here is 3. So it's important to know how many significant figures there are in a measured value, because when we start doing calculations with them, we use specific, we have to know how many significant digits there are in order to know where to round a calculated answer to. Okay, when we add or subtract 2 measured numbers, the answers are rounded to the least significant decimal place, or in other words, how many significant figures are there after the decimal? We round to that place. If we do multiplication or division, the answers are rounded to the number of digits that corresponds to the least number of significant figures of any of the numbers used in the calculation. So for this one, it's least number after the decimal point. For this one, it's least number of significant figures total. Okay. When we use logs, the number in the mantissa after the decimal is the number of significant figures. So if we have a logarithmic number like 9.32, the number after the decimal point is referred to as the mantissa, and that's our number of significant figures. Okay, so let's go ahead and let's do these down here then. 11, 12, 13, and 14. Let's do the first one. We'll do 11. All right, if I add 12.5849 plus 2.4, I'll get an answer that my calculator returns to me of 14.9849. Okay. This is addition, so I'm going to look for the least significant decimal place. So I look at how many digits does each number have after the decimal place. So this has 4 numbers after the decimal. This has 1 number after the decimal. So therefore, for this particular answer, I get to round to 1 number after the decimal. So that's this spot right here. So I look at the number behind it. 8 is higher than 5, so I'm going to round up. So this becomes 15.0. Okay. Go ahead and give the remaining 3, 12, 13, and 14 a try. Then come back here to check your answer. All right, for our second one here, if I take 432 minus 24.3984 and put in that in my calculator, I get an answer of 408.1016. Okay, this is subtraction. So again, I'm looking for the least number of decimal places. So this number has 1 after the decimal. This has 4 after the decimal. So I'm going to round this to the 1 or to the 1 number after the decimal. So that's this. I look behind that, that's a 0. So my answer becomes 408.1. Okay. Next one. If I take 246 times 1.5, I get 369. Okay. This is multiplication, so I find the least number of significant figures and then numbers that came from it. So 246 has 3 sig figs, 1.5 has 2 sig figs. The least number of those is 2, so that means I get 2 sig figs in my answer. So that means 3 is a great sig fig. And then the second digit that's significant will be the tens place. So it's 69, so that's going to round to 70. So 370 is my final answer. Last one on here. 974.59 divided by 14.2 gives me 68.63309859. Okay, this is a division. So again, looking for the least number of sig figs. This has 5 sig figs. This has 3 sig figs. So I get to round this to 3 significant figures. So 68 point, this last one is the one that we look at, 6, number behind it is a 3, so this becomes 68.6. All right? Okay, so that's addition and subtraction and multiplication and division. So now let's go ahead and let's take a look at 2 examples of logarithmic versions of this. So we're going to take the log of problems 12 and 13 and report this number to the proper number of significant figures. Okay, so number 12 is 408.1. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and into my calculator, I'm going to put log 408.1. When I do that, I get a calculator answer of 2.610766595. All right, and so I have to figure out how many significant figures do I get. Well, when we use logs, the number in the mantissa for the logarithm, so this is the logarithm here, is the number of significant figures. So if I look up here, how many significant figures did we have? We had 4. So that means I get 4 numbers after the decimal in my logarithm. So this becomes 2.6108. Okay. Go ahead and try number 13 and then come back here and check your answer. All right, so if I take the log of 370, I should get a calculator answer of 2.5682011724. I look up here and I see in my answer, in my number up here, I have 2 sig figs. So what does that mean? It means that I get 2 numbers after the decimal in my logarithm. So 2.57. Okay. Last question that we have on here. You have a temperature with a logarithmic value of 5.133. What is the arithmetic value of this to the proper number of sig figs? So we have to undo that log. Okay, so go ahead and try that and see what you come up with for an answer, and then come back and check. All left sides. All right, so in order to do this, we take 10 to the 5.133. And if I do that, I get an calculator answer of 135,831.3447. Okay, so how do I round this? Well, this was the logarithmic value, 5.133. So that's 3 numbers after the mantissa. So that means I get 3 sig figs. So my end answer for this is going to get 3 sig figs. So 136,000. So the last piece then here is to understand that any time when we're doing a calculation, if the calculation involves more of one of these rules, so let's say you have to add something and then multiply. So maybe you have to add first and then multiply. You round between each rule change. So not between each operation, but between each rule change. So if you were doing a whole bunch of additions and subtractions, you would do all those, apply this rule. Then if you took the answer to that and you were multiplying, then you apply the second rule. Then let's say you have to take a log at the end of it, then you apply the third rule. So every time you switch rules, you have to stop and round and use the rule for the significant figures. Okay. Few last things, a couple terms that come up very frequently, accuracy versus precision. We said that different devices that we measure with will have different levels of accuracy. What we mean by that is how close a measurement is to the true value of a quantity. So the more specific or the more lines that you have, the smaller the lines you have on an instrument, the more accurate it's going to be, how close it gets to the right answer. Okay? Precision refers to the proximity of several measurements to each other. So if I measured the same thing several times, how closely would I measure them? This comes into play like for timing things, like maybe you want 2 or 3 people timing something. Well, that involves some human error, and so we would prefer for those the answers to how fast the person was or how long it took them to complete a race to be 3 numbers that were very, very close to one another. Those numbers would be referred to as precise numbers. Okay, so accuracy is how close are you to the right answer. Precise is how close are your measurements to one another. All right. Last piece to this is dimensional analysis, which if you took Honors Chem last year, you have a lot of use for. I know the rest of you have probably seen this in math classes, etc. But we use dimensional analysis to convert one quantity to another. Most commonly, we use it using conversion factors. So for example, if I wanted to change something from inches to centimeters or vice versa, I would use this conversion factor and write it as that or that, and then go ahead and do my conversion. Once I do that, it works because we go ahead and cancel units in the process. So for example, if you wanted to convert 8 meters to inches, okay, we're going to go ahead and we're going to change meters to centimeters and then centimeters to inches. In the process of doing that, we cancel the units of meters with meters, centimeters with centimeters, which leaves us with the unit of inches, which is what we wanted. All right, and then we do the math. Things on the top we multiply, things on the bottom we divide, and we end up with 315 inches. Okay, again, to 3 sig figs, because 8 meters had 3 sig figs. All right, so that is the basics of measurements and significant figures for our course. Go ahead and there's some practice problems for you to try both online and in the problem set. Let me know if you have questions.